About 2 months ago, I stopped eating dinner almost every night of the week so that my boyfriend and I could have enough food left over to have lunch the next day, because I personally need to eat more in the middle of the day to be able to accomplish all that I have to do during the day. By dinner time, nighttime, whatever. If I'm hungry, I can just fall asleep through it. It doesn't really matter. This was before we were about to lose our food stamps. Mind you, we both work. I've worked since I was 14 years old. I have a college degree. But because we have children, and because aftercare and before care is too expensive, I've taken a job that's basically minimum wage so that I can be there to pick up my kids. I cannot fathom what we're going to do without that food stamp money, because if I already couldn't eat dinner with that food stamp money. So yeah, I'm glad some of you are happy.
I'm pissed off. Donald Trump stole my food stamps, and I'm not happy at all. Currently, we were getting like $800 a month in food stamps, and that helped us a lot. And then he caught on that I been making some money on TikTok, and basically they sent me an email and they're like, you can't get it anymore. You're making too much money, and now I make too much money. It's kind of stupid to me, because like it doesn't matter what I make on this stupid little app. I'm still not making enough to have $800 in food stamps. I think I deserve it. Like, and then to make matters worse, he of course had to take my housing too. So now we have to pay out of pocket for our house. So this is ridiculous. Like, my daughter stopped paying me half of her check because of her stepdad. Now I have to pay rent, and I don't get my $800 a month in food stamps.
I voted for Trump, but I gotta say, man, I don't feel warm and cozy about this one. I don't agree with taking people's food.
Say I'm sorry. I voted for him. I thought he was going to help folks like me. I really did. Now my SNAP's gone, my Medicaid's gone. They cut off my heat and help last week. I don't know how I'm supposed to buy groceries next month to keep the lights on.
We don't want to hear shit when you lose your Medicaid. We don't want to hear shit when you lose your SNAP. We don't want to hear shit from those states when FEMA doesn't show up for your tornadoes, hurricanes, and floods this year. We don't want to hear shit when you figure out that those tax breaks are not for you, but they're for the rich. We don't want to hear shit when you figure out that no tax on tips and overtime ain't even real. We don't want to hear shit when you figure out that he is increasing the debt ceiling by trillions of dollars, which is going to cost us a lot. Because we try to tell you. So you're excited about this bill passing? Just remember, when all that shit happens to you, to not open your fucking mouth.
Donald Trump is the first president in U.S. history to cut off SNAP benefits to people in America.
The cruelty is the point. They want you to starve. Let me say that again. The Trump administration wants you to starve. There is a reason that they're getting rid of SNAP benefits.
Nothing to say. A bit of a crisis here, trying to find out how I'm going to pay for food for the month. They closed my case. I think yesterday. I just found out today. So, yeah. I mean, I'm getting a lot of people like saying, "Go Trump! Oh, yo, he's so awesome." Nothing. Wastes of life. I have no food now, so this kind of sucks. And you people still support him?
MAGA voters are now learning a painful lesson about snap cuts, that when you support policies designed to hurt other people, you can end up hurting yourself. Many cheered the so-called Big Beautiful Bill, believing the cuts would mainly affect Black and brown people, but now they're discovering that they also depend on SNAP benefits. Racism is expensive.
Did y'all see the video of the man saying that white people were mad because they thought SNAP benefits were only for Black people, and now that they're mad that their food stamps are being taken away too? What? Except I lived in the South, so I have seen this before. Matter of fact, my best friend, I met her in college and she was pregnant, okay? That little boy, sweetest little boy, but she was on like WIC and food stamps and healthcare and everything too, right? As she should be. She needed the help. She needed the assistance, okay? We were driving the car one day. She would not shut the fuck up. She was like, I'm so mad at people taking my tax dollars and blah, 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 and we shouldn't be paying for other people's healthcare, and I don't want to pay for other people's food. And I finally go, girl, you know you're the other people, right? And she was like, huh? And I was like, the health insurance that made you be able to take your little boy to the doctor yesterday, I paid for that. The food that you eat, that you put on your table, I paid for that. My tax dollars paid for that. Like, you are the people that you're talking about. How are you going to sit here and trash talk people when you are the people? Like, you have WIC, you have food stamps, and you have health insurance for you and your child. And you're going to sit here and trash talk people who use government aid. What? And anyways, they're mad now. They're mad now that their shit's being taken away too.
Am I a bad person because I got a little smile on my face when I found out that 42% of the people that receive SNAP benefits are white people in red states?
So I posted about white folks on food stamps, and one thing I kept seeing was that welfare was created for white people. I knew that it was created during the New Deal, so I did some more research because I didn't really know the whole story, and I thank you guys for responding and helping me learn stuff. So during the Great Depression is when we saw the beginning of things like Social Security, unemployment insurance. But here's the kicker. When Franklin Roosevelt built those programs, he had to make deals with Southern Democrats in Congress, the same folks who were big fans of Jim Crow, to get the support of these racist white Southern politicians. The programs were designed to exclude farm workers, domestic workers, jobs held overwhelmingly by Black, Latino, and Indigenous people. So right from the start, Black and brown families were pushed out of benefits so that white people could get them. Then we move forward to the 1960s, and there's this war on poverty. It finally opened up welfare programs more broadly, and that's when food stamps became permanent. Well, permanent, we don't know what Trump's going to do to them, but they lasted a long time. And guess what? The minute more Black and brown families started accessing this help, the politics shifted. Welfare got a new image and a new target. By the 1980s and 90s, with Ronald Reagan and his gang, they pushed the welfare queen myth. That's a racist dog whistle meant to turn public opinion against safety nets by blaming Black women for poverty that white policies created. That's the truth, you guys. So yes, welfare was built for white people, and when others finally got in the door, they tried to burn the house down. If you want to blame the right people, you got to get curious.
Here's what I gotta say about all you people on TikTok crying about losing your SNAP benefits next month. Well, if you can get on TikTok and you got the energy and time to do that, then you got the energy and time to sign up to do DoorDash. I tell you what, hunger is a great motivator.
Snap, I don't want to see my tax dollars going to feed these people. They're freeloaders. You can see them in the grocery stores buying steak and champagne and caviar. No way I want my money going to that. Yeehaw! MAGA. I can't believe it. I just can't believe MAGA. I walk away from TikTok for a day and a half. And my FYP is loaded with this kind of nonsense from these MAGA chuds who are screaming and yelling about SNAP. So Fox News, Donald Trump, somebody must have put something out about how evil SNAP is. And of course, hooked, fish on, right? Every freaking time, because the Republicans and the MAGA chuds are so bitter and affected. They will rise to that bait every freaking time. Anything that will animate their hate and anger against somebody else, they jump right on board. No excuses needed, no reasoning needed, no higher thinking needed. Here's the deal. MAGA, if you're watching this, I know you're not, but here's the thing. I saw a report that said if you make $60,000 a year, 36 of your tax dollars goes to SNAP and feeding the food insecure. 36 big bucks. Whereas 600 of your dollars goes towards corporate welfare and benefiting the ultra rich. Now, who should you really be angry at in this situation? Do you think you might be manipulated a little bit by the powers that be that are spinning you all this propaganda and stuffing it into your head? Do you think that might be a freaking possibility? Do you think you might want to step away from Fox News as a credible news source when they had to pay almost $1 billion freaking dollars for lying? But no, you keep going back to them because it makes you feel something. They make you feel hatred, anger, and it's all based on lies. It's all based on bullshit.
I voted for Trump, but I gotta say, man, I don't feel warm and cozy about this one. I don't agree with taking people's food, their resources to survive. There's elderly, there's children. I understand there's people on the system that abuse it, misuse it, buy processed foods, however you want to put that. But what it boils down to is just like a kid in a grocery store that's acting out, screaming, acting a fool. You can't blame that child. You got to blame who's in charge, the parents. Now, the government's in charge of all of this stuff that's going on. Senate, Congress, whoever, the president, they're in charge of, deciding who gets assistance, food, so to speak. They created a monster. Now they got to try to find a way to fix it. But I don't feel good about threatening if you're going to do it or not going to do it, because I don't know what the hell is going to happen. But you can't threaten people right before the holidays to take away all they have, which is food to feed themselves and their parents or whatever, and the children, right before Thanksgiving and Christmas. But it's ill-timed. It's not cool. I don't agree with it. I voted for Trump, but I don't agree with taking people's food. I pay taxes every day, and I'd much rather, even I know there's people that misuse it, I'd much rather take my money and feed my neighbors and the people that are not doing well and have no money or poor or whatever. I'd rather feed them than send all my fucking money to Argentina or Ukraine. Whoever's in charge of where our tax dollars go, they should all be fucking fired. They should have been fired at the beginning of the year when they found out how much corruption and misspending had been going on, the trillions of dollars pissed away. Find somebody that knows how to figure out the taxes to make sure they're spent properly, not overseas. Enough of the bullshit. But don't take people's food away. A lot of people, that's all they have left to cling to is their food that they put in their stomachs every day. And if you take away the food, can you imagine what would happen? Tens of millions of people storming grocery stores, kicking doors in to feed their children because desperate times calls for desperate measures. And if you have nothing to eat, people already got nothing to live for. People are so depressed, anxious, stressed. I don't want to know what's going to happen. But like I said, you created this monster. Now it's up to you to fix it. We created it. Fix the broken system.
I voted for Trump, and I don't agree with him taking away the EBT benefits from the American people. This is what I just heard a creator say. And so now my thought process is, were you not aware of what you were voting for? Not who, but what? Because clearly you could not have been fully aware. So then that makes me think, when most people are voting, with this past election, were we just making votes because Trump was a white man and Kamala is a black woman or a woman? Is that what your vote was based on, rather than what was going to come into play from each of these candidates? This is why we have to read. We have to read to understand why we are making the choices that we are making. This is mind-boggling.
This is what happens when people vote based on resentment instead of understanding how policies actually work. Many did not take time to understand how government programs actually work, who depend on them, and what happens when these programs are cut. Instead, they hear politicians blaming Black and brown Americans and telling them that the people receiving food assistance are lazy, abusing the system, or taking something that they do not deserve. And that's how they become convinced that if a government program hurts people they dislike, then the policy must be good. But government policies don't check your race, your political party, or who you voted for before they affect your life. And this is a part that many people fail to understand. SNAP is not a program for one race. Millions of Americans, they depend on food assistance, including children, elderly people, working families, people with disabilities, rural Americans, and families struggling with low wages and high cost of living. But what happens is that the politicians are very good at selling anger. They convince voters that another group, immigrants, Black and brown people, are the reason their lives are difficult. And once people become angry, they stop asking questions about the policy itself. People simply celebrate because they believe someone else is going to suffer. And that's a dangerous way to vote because politics is not entertainment. Real people are affected. This is why racism and hatred is very expensive. So thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Have a good one. I'll see you in the next video.